Kaylin here at Full Purpose and Heart, and in this video I am going to chat with you a little bit about how we run a whole school day and how we've scheduled it out to try and fit in all of the subjects in the time that we have allotted. So if you're interested in kind of an example of how we go ahead and do that, go ahead and stay tuned. All right, so if you're new to my channel, maybe you've just come across this video, and then I'd say to you, welcome. I have a first grader that we're teaching this year and a preschooler that we've got in the ranks this year, as well as I teach a preschool in my neighborhood, so I have a lot of other preschool kids. So in planning my school day, it was really important to me that I created time when my student had independent learning. Learning when I was close by in the room, because I will be teaching my preschoolers, but not necessarily right over his shoulder or readily available. So a lot of times in public school, teachers give their students work that they need to complete at their desk. It's called like desk work, or sometimes it's like busy work, which is kind of a negative term. And not that I've given my student busy work, but I did want to create a time in his school day that was desk work, where he needed to be able to complete these activities on his own without mom looking over the shoulder or pointing to which activity is he on, okay, what's the answer to this? I didn't want to have any of that. So you'll want to check back and see how I organized our school year system, and that'll kind of give you an overview of all of that. And in this video, let me just talk about how our school day is run. So the first thing that I did is I actually made a schedule, and I hang this up on his cork board. I'll have to edit that. Sorry, I had to edit that. My language was sorry, I had to edit that because I stumbled over my words so bad. Okay, so this is what I have up on his cork board, and although you'll see that I have written times on here, we don't necessarily stick to the times. It's just so that he understands the flow of his activities. And I have set incremental time frames here, and we're going to be getting, I don't have it currently, but we're going to be getting a timer on his desk that he will be able to set for these particular time units, and then he'll know when the timer goes off, he no longer needs to be focusing on that. If it's taking him longer than that to do, then it's just kind of an understanding of like, I fooled around too much or whatever. Anyway, so I do have that. Or not even that, maybe that sounded negative, but sometimes concepts may be more difficult, and if it takes him longer to do, I don't want him to just sit there and chew on his eraser for 3 hours because he can't finish the problems. So this way he'll know that after so many minutes, then he can move on to the next activity. Okay, so this is how we start our day. The first thing that we do is reading time. This is like free reading or independent reading. It's my way of making sure that my children have time in books, free choice. They can read whatever they want to. So here in our schoolroom, which is behind me, I will put out all of our library books on the floor, and there will be school mats that they can sit on, just like they're like rugs, little spots that they can sit on, and they will do that for 15 minutes. We have an automated timer in our home that goes off at the same time every morning. So even if I'm not in the downstairs with my kids, then the timer will say, turn off the TV and let's, get upstairs and do our schoolwork or whatever it says. I don't remember what the little chime is, but anyway, so then they know to come upstairs, and then we start our school day. So that's the first thing that they do. Whether or not I am like in the room sitting with them, they know to sit on their mat and to start reading their stories. And it's just a really great start to the day. It's like an official, we're getting ready to actually have learning time. So, and we start that at 8:55 every morning. My children read from 8:55 until 9:10. And then from 9:10 till 9:15, we kind of like clean up, or if we're finishing a story, we finish reading it. If we're done reading, then we just kind of have a how's your morning, how's your day, did you get your jobs done, quick conversation, that sort of thing happens in those 5 minutes until 9:15. That is the same every single morning. Those time increments do not change. Everything after that is flexible. Sometimes it takes longer or shorter, but those first 15 minutes are always the same. I guess it's 20 minutes when you add the 5-minute chat or cleanup time. All right, so the second thing that I have on my list here is our circle time and lesson. Now, this is the group learning time that we do, and I will actually teach my students the lessons that they need to know for that day. This correlates with whatever material will be in their binder work that they need to finish. I keep saying they, but really it's just my oldest son, my first grader, who we cater to because the preschooler just kind of follows along. But so this is the time that I'll actually teach him the material that he needs to know, and I focus mostly on our phonics and our math lessons. So I don't know if you can see behind me. I'm not sure what that, how clear that is, but I've actually made a list for myself of the topics that we need to cover for any given day. Usually we do one math and one phonics activity slash lesson per day. Now this is really convenient for us now because my preschool kids have not started coming to my home for school yet. When the preschool kids do start coming, then we will have this time on Mondays and on Fridays. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays will be the days that my son will have already had his lesson, so he shouldn't have to, maybe a reminder or something, Mom, I need some help, then I'll swing by and remind him, but the actual lesson portion should have already happened before he does his binder work. So this time usually takes between about 30 minutes of lesson time. It's sometimes a little bit more if we get really into a game and he wants to play it more than one time, but I try to aim for about 30 minutes of lesson time during that game time. It is this time that I put my baby to bed. So when we have this story time, some of you might be asking, what do you do with your little ones? So I'll just throw this in here for those of you who may question it. My baby stays awake with us while we are reading until about 9:15, and then at 9:15 I get him a bottle and I put him in his bed for his morning nap. And he will sleep usually from 9:15 until about 10:15 or 10:30. So I have that chunk of time to really focus on teaching my first grader and my preschooler. Sometimes if the activity that my first grader is doing is really not conducive to my preschooler at all, I'll get her a whiteboard and just go through some flashcards and have her trace or copy rather the letters, and that keeps her busy. She likes to do that, or we'll do different kind of hands and finger like magnet games and that sort of thing with her. So I really am doing 2 lessons during that time, typically one for the older and then something small for my young one, okay? So that's the lesson time. After that, then we start desk work, and my student will go to his desk and do a lesson from the Explode the Code curriculum, and I'll just have assigned 1 or 2 pages. It's usually written down on his clipboard, on his checklist, so he'll just know which pages he's doing any given week. And my kids really like, I guess uniform, I don't know what the right word is. Anyway, he just goes in order. So he just does 6 and then 7, then 8, and then 9, and he doesn't mix them up really because he was going to do that, but then at the end I was like, it's really important that you don't mix them up because lessons build on top of each other. So he has about 15 minutes to do this work. While he is doing Explode the Code, my preschooler is usually doing something like this, just keeping her hands busy and going over some alphabet. We do our interactive notebook during this time, so this is just a page of that, and then we would cut it out and glue it in the notebook. Okay? After that, we have recess. We get the Wiggles out and get a snack or whatever, and I give them a bit of a recess. After that, then we have binder work. Now you'll want to check my how I organized our school year video so you can see what's actually in the binder, but this is the time when I want my son to do independent desk work and be able to actually do his lessons without Mom looking over his shoulder. I have allotted 45 minutes for him to do his binder work. Just in the 1 week that we've been doing school, it takes him closer to an hour to finish this work, which currently is fine because I don't have anything distracting him from completing the work for an hour. Personally, I think 1 hour of desk work is not terrible for a student, so he does a really good job of just sitting there and kind of plowing through his work, and it has some coloring and sometimes there's cutting activities in his lesson material, but for the most part it's really just like work pages that he's getting through for each of his subjects that are in his work binder. So he does that for about 45 minutes. to an hour. And then when he finishes that, then we have PE or music time. If it's music time, then we'll go down and practice the piano, or we will sing songs or whatever. And if it's a PE day, because we just kind of alternate, we'll go outside and ride bikes, or we'll run around and do like relays, or we'll play like an imagination game where I'll draw cards and they have to, move their body based on whatever scenario is given on the card. So it just helps kind of get some of those wiggles out and have some free time. It's only about 15 minutes, so it's a little bit short, but it works really well. After that, then we have, let's see. Oh, then my son does his spelling. So let's see, this is his spelling folder, and he will do spelling work and flashcards. So I also have a little deck, which I didn't get to bring over here and show you, but I got some sight words and phonics sound flashcards from the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. It was free on her website, so it's the free download for level 1, and I just used those lists to make flashcards. So he'll do this curriculum and those flashcards for 15 minutes. And I did a look through of this curriculum if you're interested in seeing what these pages look like. I purchased it off of Teachers Pay Teachers, and I really like it. It's going to be fantastic. We actually haven't started this because it's in August, but we'll start this next week. So that's what he does. Again, those are really short activities, so that's just a 15-minute review, do those activities, yada, yada. And then at the end of our school day, we do our history lesson or our science lesson, and we read our read aloud. Usually about this time we take a big break for lunch after he does his spelling. So usually that's like an hour and a half, a little bit more, because by now my baby is up and has been in the way in everybody's business for a really long time. Too long. So I'm actually considering changing the schedule slightly and having my son do what's it called? Play yard time. I learned this from a conference that I went to, and I love it, so I'm going to do it. And anyway, so he will do time, have his time in the play yard. He will have special toys that he does, and he will play outside of our schoolroom, but where I can see him and hear him, and he'll be away from us and having to entertain himself while we finish those few moments of school. Anyway, then we'll have our lunch break, because then my son is tired of his play yard time and my preschooler is done with her time, and really we just have the last little bit of my son's time to do. So we'll take a long break, have lunch, recess, play around, whatever, just kind of relax. And then when my son goes down for his afternoon nap, which is usually about 1:30, then we will finish off our school day with our history and our read aloud. I'll even sometimes do our read aloud during lunch while my children are eating, and it just kind of, literature and lunchtime, it just goes together. So we sometimes do that as well. And then our last bit of the day is our history lesson. So our full school day, if I crunched it all together and took out all of the recesses, is about 3 hours. And then I add in a bunch of recesses and stuff. So we go from about 9 o'clock in the morning until about 2. We start at 1:30 for history, and it's about, 20 minutes, so just shy of 2 o'clock. So it's a really good full school day for us, and then when we're finished, we're all ready to have some relaxing time and some free time. But it's also very flexible, so that if we do have something going on in the afternoon or in the morning, then I can condense it really easily, and we can get our 3 hours of school in, or even 2.5 hours of school time in, and then just be off on the rest of our day. So that works really well too, and it's super flexible. Anyway, as all schedules are, I'm sure that it will change. They always have to be moving and changing with the flow of your family and the dynamics of your family as little ones grow older, and as my preschool kids come, and we have to kind of make things work and jumble. So hopefully this is kind of what I've got now, and I'm hoping that it'll be able to work for the majority of our school year, but you never can tell for sure. You'll have to follow along on our homeschool life and see if I have to change it mid-year or something for who knows what reasons. But anyway, that's what I have planned for now. So hopefully you found this video helpful and you found something that you can glean from it and use it and kind of change it to work for your family. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel and you like homeschooling content, feel free to do so that you can follow along in our homeschool life. And we will catch you in another video.